First of all, we are the last session. How much time we have?
As much.
5:30, okay. I think I have a panel which has lot of experience. What we are talking about is we are talking about leadership in CSR. As you have seen since morning, CSR has been a journey. And with Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, we have been part of this journey with some of you. And you have seen two things basically. First thing is, it has evolved over a period of time. Second thing is, whatever you talk about it, it has been always in discussion. I don't call it controversial, but it has always been in discussion. Like when we started, the idea, I was that time with the FICCI as my job. We always said, please have 2% as a tax. Why? Because corporates are not trained in doing social work as such. Leave aside the top few, like you saw, Adar Poonawalla, Tata's, Birla's or those. But otherwise, generally, they are not their job. So let the job go. Now that's what's happening again. You go to most of the states, go to Maharashtra, go to Gujarat. Now what they are saying is 1% you give to CSR state authority. So lot of things. And second thing is, as you saw in one of the presentation also, 54% of the money companies spend directly by themselves. Others spend by. That also you saw in the morning, a figure of 600 NGOs get this money. That's where question of leadership comes. Leadership at three levels. First one is the top level. As I said, Tata's, Birla's, you always have been doing it. For more than 100 years, you have been teaching others. Second thing is where you get CSR professional as such. And third, how do you implement it? That's where there has been a gap. Why we talked about, Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee were talking about, why we thought of having NGOs as an implementing agency, because they know the field. They are attached to the field. And then, as a corporate, we take our own time to learn things. Second thing is a trust gap. Trust gap in a way, I have been in all four. I started with the government, came to international NGOs, came to corporate, and after corporates, I am in academics now. We all have different style of working. We don't work the same way. We don't think the same way. We don't do the things same way. And we don't even act the same way. Our learnings are very different. When I was in a corporate, we used to have the board meeting with my boss. It used to take just 10 minutes to decide. His question was simple. What's the problem? What are the alternatives? Preferably that's the way we should go about. When I came to NGO, I used to have a meeting. Our board meeting used to be for 1 day. And we generally used to end it for 2 days. And we never ended that meeting. It still keeps on going. So I think these are the type of culture which is there. So when we talk about leadership, I will like to go first to the people who have been always doing leadership. That's where CSR comes. Over to you, Lopaji.
Very good evening, everyone. Leadership, in my 28 years of experience and having mentor and gurus like Mr. Upadhyay, when I started in India in 2013, Puran Pandeji, Upadhyay ji, Bhaskar Chatterjee sir. So they had actually paved the way how things corporate should do, because as sir has mentioned, some organizations like Tata's and Birla's have been doing it for the last 100 years. So they know the way it has been done and how it has to be done so that maximum impact on ground is seen, or the last mile beneficiaries to be benefited from the funds. And all these basically comes from top down. If your top management has that thought process, yes, this is, as one of the previous speaker was saying, that it is also a business of serving your stakeholders. a business to take care of your stakeholders, and one of the stakeholders, the community, your people around, the place that you are working, the resources that you are utilizing around you. So leadership is nothing but how effectively and efficiently you are doing things with being resilient, and that's very, very important. Having mentors, having people like Sir and other people that I mentioned, paving the way for corporate leaders like us to see how CSR, how to ensure that CSR work to be done, or the development work, social development work to be done in certain ethical and professional way. So yeah, that's all would be my take to start with. Say.
And she does a very good work, huh? So every second, third day I see her on the Facebook and all. So it's good to see that she is not only doing good work, your work is being get recognized also. And second thing what I said was, see of late, like say, lot of institutes now give MBA in CSR also, and it's being a part of the, like, whenever we go for accreditation, for us in academics, that's very important. हम लोगों को recognition का बड़ा होता है कि if I come, if you don't stand up, I feel little bad actually. तो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता कि भाई मैं आया और आप खड़े नहीं हुए. वैसे आप बाद में मुझे गाली दें, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. तो what happens, lot of people, when there was a gap between the NGOs and the corporates, another phenomenon started. People started moving from NGOs to corporates. जो लोग all out development field में काम कर रहे थे, they have started moving. And I have one person here. She has been in both the worlds. इन्होंने development sector में काम किया. Now she works one of the best companies who do excellent work. So we like to know from you, Shilpa ji, what is this whole leadership? How you look at it? आपको लगता है कि हम सब लोग भी थोड़े से लीडर हैं या थोड़ी ट्रेनिंग की जरूरत है?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. It's exhausting day. I've been here since morning and I'm tired, and I can imagine how tired you all of you be. Just giving a small introduction about myself, sir ne de hi diya hai. I started my journey 20 years back and been in development sector for 20 years. And I have traveled from this world to that world. जो NGO sector के लोगों से अगर पूछो तो उनको लगता है बहुत fancy world में I have come to. But trust me, it's not fancy at all. I call myself first generation CSR professionals. Most of the people in my space are first generation CSR professional because we are the first one in the company, in the department of CSR. Most of us are. And like all the first generation struggle, we also struggle because there is no set parameters, right? There are no set parameters. We are evolving that parameters. We are setting that parameters, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's not an easy task, right? Because every stakeholders are involved from boardroom to the ground level. So all the stakeholders, bringing them together and then making a department is completely a challenging task. And uske upar, the CSR dynamics are completely changing. It is evolved from a philanthropy, from a checkbook activity to a impact-based implementation. So aligning that is also very important. So as a CSR, because I had that experience of working at the ground level, I could bring that to the when I was at the when I came at a leadership role. As a leadership, it is very important, especially in CSR space, that you have to align. See, when I started my journey, I was in one of the company, I was working like CSR is one department and business is a different department. It cannot be. You have to align the business, CSR and the community together. It has to, the CSR has to be aligned to the SDGs, to national goals, to local levels. So all the stakeholders needs to be aligned. Stakeholders, when I say it, doesn't mean the stakeholders at board level or policy level, even the stakeholder at local level, because when I'm working with my plant level workers, they talk about local issues. So it has to be aligned. So the role is very challenging, but if you, so my another point which comes in, in every business, there is an expert, right? If you go to marketing department, there is a marketing expert. If you go to finance department, there is a finance expert. There where CSR experts are required. And the last panel, they were asking whether people are ready to take CSR as a professional. It is, because that has become one of, and trust me, when I started my journey in NGO sector, मुझे literally लोगों को बताना पड़ता था कि NGO होता क्या है, right? CSR होता क्या है? Now everyone talks. गांव में जाओ, people बता, आपको सरपंच बोलता है, आप लोग का तो CSR का fund है ना? So that sensitivity has come. You don't need to introduce CSR now. You don't need to introduce NGO now. So I think people are taking up that as a career opportunity. And as a company, it is very important to invest into resources who have that ground. There is a miss when you don't have people in the at a leadership role who doesn't have the ground reality. Then it is a gap where they don't connect to the policy level. They don't connect with the SDGs. They don't connect to the local needs. So I think at company level, it is very important that companies start investing into professionals who come from that background. See, CSR has evolved. It has become scientific. There is a methodology to it. It is not philanthropy anymore. कि आपने दान दे दिया हो गया. It is a whole methodology to it. There is a whole approach to it. And anyone who has that sense, who understands that, can bring that to table and can do impactful CSR. So wherever there are people, and companies are also understanding. I would not say companies are not understanding, because if you see, lot of people are hiring people from CSR space who have that kind of background. They are evolving their CSR department. So I think that is what the CSR is building. CSR leadership is all about that CSR. As the CSR is evolving, the CSR space for people working in this space has also evolved. The leadership has evolved, and as a leader, your role becomes very important to strike that balance between all the stakeholders at boardroom level, at community level. Last point which I would like to bring over here, at leadership, one of the important leaders in CSR space is the boardroom, right? The board members, right? I think the sensitivity at their level, because the board representation, if they don't have sensitivity about the CSR and not only the compliances, but the ground realities, because that is a miss. So I think that representation in the board from the fraternity, from the development sector, would add lot of value to the CSR space. So I think that is one thing which needs to be considered and which needs to be brought on table. So that's from my side, and that's what I have experienced in my journey. Thank you.
शिल्पा, जो कानून है ना, उसके हाथ बहुत लंबे होते हैं. तो आप भूल गई कि यू हैव टू ऑल्सो फिल ए बिजनेस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट. देन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट नाउ ESG, और मेरा सब्जेक्ट तो आपको पता ही है, IT सस्टेनेबिलिटी, तो वो तो मैं पढ़ाऊँगा ही. तो जब इतनी सारी बातें हैं, तो द क्वेश्चन कम्स बेसिकली, हाउ डू यू रियली अंडरस्टैंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स? यू हैव वर्कड अ लॉट, सलोनी जी, इन द फील्ड. आपने बहुत सारे लोगों के साथ काम किया है, एंड यू अंडरस्टैंड आवर मेंटेलिटी. मैं पहाड़ों से बिलोंग करता हूँ, बेसिकली एक कामचोर आदमी हूँ. हमारे लेडीज़ ज़्यादा काम, डोंट माइंड दैट, हाँ, हमारे लेडीज़ ज़्यादा काम करती हैं, वो ऑल दोज हु आर फ्रॉम हिल्स. तो हमें लगता है कि लाइफ थोड़ा इजी होना चाहिए. तो मुझे, आई हैव ए क्वेश्चन टू यू. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट लीडरशिप, शी वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट a company which has its DNA. She was talking where they have adopted to the new environment, and she has been coming. Then people like me who are in academics, what will you like to advise me or tell me कि leadership को है in CSR or in corporate basically? How do you see it?
I'm Saloni, and let me tell you, representing Lotus Petal Foundation, और हम लोग गुड़गांव में schools चलाते हैं और छोटे बच्चों के साथ काम करते हैं. And when I read the co-panelists over here, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be sitting with the teachers and the people I am going to, I've actually read about in paper and learned from. So for me to advise anyone over here, it's really not possible. It's just a very humbling space कि मैं आप लोगों के साथ आज यहाँ पे share कर रहे हैं stage. बट एक बहुत छोटी सी चीज़ है जो मैंने अभी पिकअप करी, ये अभी सर ने बोला क्रॉस ओवर कॉर्पोरेट टू नॉन प्रॉफिट टू कॉर्पोरेट, इन सब चीज़ों को अगर हम लोग साइड में रखें और कुछ छोटी छोटी चीज़ें ध्यान रखें, anyone who wants to serve in the non-profit sector is really driven by the heart and purpose. Now, even the person who's sitting on this chair of the CSR is really an individual who is just craving to create impact. It just depends which chair you choose. It depends how much bandwidth you have, the kind of bills you have to pay, and there are a million other reasons for you to choose the chair. But the truth is, the reason why you want to be in this sector is because you're purpose driven. So I think let's just bring that equal field. Lastly, sir, जो अभी आपने थोड़ा सा gender divide की बात करी, वो तो across है. Having said that, I think one very critical element about leadership in the non-profit sector is being authentic and real. एक narrative जो आजकल startup का चला हुआ है, disruption create करना और नया app निकालना, सबसे बड़ा disruption we must create is in the definition of leadership. With so much uncertainty around us, whether it is in the financial sector, in the compliance sector for non-profits, weather, climate, so much technology, AI coming, EdTech coming into classrooms, there is so much uncertainty that for a leader to come and say that I have got all the answers and to create this heroic image in front of their team is the biggest lie a leader can live right now. The most important thing a leader can do right now in the non-profit sector is say that, what, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how it's going to be next year this time. I don't know if there's going to be floods that will take the CSR or it's going to be an earthquake. But, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to provide you as much answers and as much clarity as I have, and I'm going to have your back. And in this journey, take care of, your inner work and mental wellness, and take care of the learning and development of the team, because बहुत ही जल्दी आजकल learning spaces में team redundant होने लगी है. And the last thing you want to do is let go of people because they have not grown with you with the changing times. So, just keeping it real, keeping it honest, and reminding each other that, we are all in this together. We are very purpose-driven. Our focus is on the impact. And also giving out the energy to the corporates. Some of my corporate friends are here who we've been doing some great work together. Whichever side of the fence we are as leaders, we see the finish line exactly same. कि भाई बच्चे को class में रोज पहुंचना है, whatever it takes. So, these are the small, if I could dare put in front of you.
Excellent. Okay.
The mic also revolted.
आपकी एक बात मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी कि if you don't change with time, time will change you. जो वक्त के साथ जो है बदलना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And of late, ecosystem is changing very fast. इंडिया में अगर आप कुछ आंकड़े देखें, बहुत सारे लोग खास तौर पे जो मेरे एक्टिविस्ट फ्रेंड्स हैं, they won't believe that इंडिया में अब एक्सट्रीम पॉवर्टी नहीं है. इट्स ए UN रिपोर्ट. हमारी जो पॉवर्टी है इज जस्ट 15% ऑफिशियली एज पर UN स्टैंडर्ड्स नाउ. लॉट ऑफ पीपल वॉन्ट बिलीव दैट, बट द फैक्ट इज वी आर द फिफ्थ लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी एंड वी ट्राई टू बी द थर्ड. लेकिन इसके लिए एक इकोसिस्टम क्रिएट करना पड़ता है. आपको लीडरशिप क्रिएट करनी है. यू हैव टू हैव पीपल हु हैव पैशन लाइक यू. लेकिन उसके लिए आई हैड हर्ड लॉट ऑफ स्टोरीज अबाउट ए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कॉल्ड a school called Sparsh, where they work differently. I met Ravi for the first time. He's one person who has been an entrepreneur of a very different type. आपने छोटे छोटे सुना होगा, आपने कोई social issue लिया, आपने उसको address किया. But making institutions one after another, working on institutions which are different, I don't know how you do that. हमें तो डर लगता है. हम तो पहले ये देखते हैं कि भाई NAC क्या चाहता है. NAC is a accreditation body. फिर what students want. I love students when they are in first year MBA. Second year, I try to keep a little distance from them, क्योंकि वो वक्त थोड़ा बदल जाता है. तो I don't know how, Ravi, you tackle all this, and what is your advice to all of us how we go about it. It's really a thing which, for me, to understand it is not possible.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, so I think, it's a long day and we have been listening to people for a long time. And toughest thing these days, especially in the information overload, is listening to others, however interesting it may be. We may get even bored sometimes, looking at Amitabh Bachchan after some time. But theek hai, yaar, bahut ho gaya.
Trust me, it's very interesting.
Thank you so much. So you have made our day and motivated us. So coming to the point.
What's next?
Thank you for all the compliments.
Electricity.
Electricity status.
We're operating on 100% clean electricity.
What runs on 100% clean electricity?
Every Apple office, store, and data center runs on clean electricity, thanks to you and your powerful wind and sun.
And Apple offices are already carbon neutral.
This building is carbon neutral?
Oh yeah, we do it with a mix of clean energy and eliminating greenhouse emissions. It's kind of like if you were to...
You're seriously explaining carbon neutrality to Mother Nature?
Right, no, I'm sorry.
You want to tell me how photosynthesis works too? Don't.
Also, over 300 suppliers have committed to using 100% clean, renewable electricity.
What's next?
Transportation.
I'm proud to report that we're shipping more products by ocean rather than air, which reduces transportation emissions by 95%.
95%? Not too bad.
I'm also happy to report that we're investing in projects around the world that protect the Earth's soil, plants, and trees.
Everyone says they're planting trees.
We've planted forests.
Oh, hello.
Where?
Paraguay, Brazil.
What, are you trying to save the tropical savanna?
Especially on the leadership side would be.
Yes.
It would start with purpose.
And we've also restored mangroves in Colombia,
What else?
grasslands in Kenya.
Why?
Our aim is to permanently remove carbon from the atmosphere.
What about your water usage?
We've reduced it.
By how much?
63 billion gallons.
63 million?
Billion.
What is the big deal or what is the big loss for the humanity? Fix that. Then focus on the second P, that is the planet. Whether you are going to consume more nature by getting into this business. If the answer is
As you
yes,
can see,
don't
we've
get it.
innovated and retooled almost every part of our process to reduce our impact on the planet. But there's still a lot more work to do.
And there's something else we wanted to share with you.
Now this whole paradigm of,
You're not trying to bribe Mother Nature with Apple swag.
spoil the
It's
environment,
Apple's very first
take the
carbon neutral
responsibility of
product.
society, and then you contribute to the so-called 2% mandated.
I wanna see you do more of this.
In doing
You
some
will.
preparation.
When?
No,
By
have some
2030,
preparation,
all
have
Apple
some
devices will have a
responsibility.
net
Whatever,
zero climate
it is
impact.
not,
All of them?
going to help us
All of them.
in the future.
They better.
The way
They
we
will.
are facing the challenges of climate change or all other environmental calamities or social calamities for that matter, we have to change our paradigm in the classroom level itself. So I said,
Okay,
from
good.
reparation,
See you next year.
preparation, from restoring,
Don't disappoint your mother.
should be the paradigm shift. So the second thing is purpose, planet. Then comes the third most important is people. Take your people and ensure that you are empowering them so that they look at or they live by the first two P's. Where I think in the morning somebody said it should be way of life. It should not be some sundry activity or while passing by you just do some chores and say, okay, my responsibility is done. No, it should be the CSR or the ESG should be a way of life, and that comes with people orientation. And if you take care of these three P's first, these last three at the end, which is your project, will happen automatically, will happen eventually. I think that is the change that we are bringing at grooming the leadership of the future.
Good
So we say
Thank
we
you
want
for
to
joining
develop
us and welcome to San
leaders of tomorrow,
Francisco and the legendary
responsible
Bill
leaders
Graham
of
Civic
tomorrow,
Auditorium.
or leaders
We could
who are
not be more
environmentally
excited to be here
conscious
this
and
morning.
responsible.
And we're so glad that
future,
so
who are
many
going to create
people
the future,
from all
who are
over the
going to
world
champion
could
the
join
future.
us,
Now,
including many
if you look
of
at
our
the numbers,
employees.
in fact, we have from
Hey, guys.
random philanthropic activity to a very structured, as Shilpa mentioned, very structured, very professionalized, way of or approaching CSR activities, and your a lot of stake in ESG now, and a lot of reporting and compliance
It's
and all
been
that.
an incredible
15,000
year for
crores
Apple.
is been
We are
spent
really
last year
firing on
by
all
Indian
cylinders.
corporates who come under that
And we
section
are
135,
about
the
to
2%
make
thing and all.
some
And many of them have
monster
overshot their mandate
across
also.
several
more
of
than
our
2%
product lines.
they would spend.
So we have a big
shining
day
example is
ahead,
Adar
and
Poonawala,
there's no
who is
time for
digging into his
updates.
personal
So I'd like
well
to
to
get
do some
right
really,
in
really
and talk
high impact
about
work.
Apple Watch.
This comes from the
Yeah.
grooming, that is at the classroom level itself.
Just
I
a
think,
few months ago,
I
we
would
made Apple
end
Watch
my
available to our
opening remarks
customers
with
around the world.
the whole definition
It's
of
already
leadership. Says
changing
you
their
should. I mean,
daily
leadership is
lives,
defined in very
and
very
they
many
love
ways. But
using it.
for me, it
They
is
love
simple
how quick
that
and
you have to
easy
craft
it
a
is
vision
to
and
respond
inspire people
and
to work
receive
towards
to
that
messages
in
and
achieving
phone
that.
calls
So you galvanize their
and
energies.
notifications
Now,
from their
when you
favorite
take the
apps,
leadership
they're
definition in the
amazed
context of CSR,
at how
you
Siri
have
on
to
the
define the
watch lets them
vision
do
and galvanize
so
energy
much with
of
just
your
their
people
voice,
towards
like
the
get direction
CSR
or send
goal
a
or
quick
towards
message.
better environment
With
or
Apple
better
Pay,
world as a goal. So
customers
leave the
are loving
place
that they can
better than you
purchase
found it. I think with
directly
those remarks,
from their
I rest my
wrist.
comments. If you allow, Professor,
And
I have a
Apple
very
Watch
interesting film to
is
share with
helping
you,
our users
which is
live a
Apple's
better
conversation with Earth. I don't know how many of you have
Closing
seen, but
those
let me, for the benefit
had
of those who have
become a
not seen, let me
healthy
play it. It's a 4.5 5 minutes film.
In fact, we've been flooded by emails
Can
like
we
this one
quickly
from
play?
Dennis saying that the Apple Watch has motivated to work out and exercise on a regular basis.
Yeah, and maybe
Towards
towards
the
the
end,
end, we
people
will
like
close the
Dennis.
session with that
Sure,
video.
sure.
The
Thank you
Apple
so much.
Watch has
First
been
of all,
life-changing.
Ravi, thanks a lot
For all of
for
these
bringing out that.
reasons and
अब आप
many
लोग कोई
more,
प्रॉब्लम नहीं करो, हम लोग हैं
people
तो कोई
love
प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा
using Apple Watch.
That reminds me when we
Customer
started teaching,
satisfaction is an
so
incredible
we used to
97%.
have Fredman saying that business of business is business. आज हम उससे काफ़ी आगे निकल आए हैं. What we are talking about purpose. You are talking about purpose. Even in NGOs, we are talking about a purpose now. We are not talking about कि कुछ अच्छा करना है, ये is something. That's where we moved from charity to philanthropy to strategic CSR. अब जब हम पर्पस की बात करते हैं तो ये हमारे केस में व्हाट इज दिस पर्पस बेसिकली क्या बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग?
If you ask me, sir, purpose for a corporate, purpose for an agency, purpose for academy. So there are 2 or 3 things. I will go back and then come back to your question. See, somebody very recently, it was enlightening to me that academics are the science. Once you build that science, we implement that science on called technology. So whatever the academicians are thought of writing journals or thinking this, actually we people go and work. We, I mean the corporates and the development agencies that is working on ground. So both, as Saloni said, that both should have that passion, that passion is the purpose to create that development, as the previous panelists said, that our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji's vision to make India a developed nation, it has always been inside me after I met APJ Abdul Kalam in Greece, saying that, we have to bring the urban India to the rural India because it's need to change India to be a developed nation. So biggest purpose for Aditya Birla Group, if you were, say, to improve the Human Development Index, to work on this sustainable developmental goals in no matter what activities that we are doing. So this is the biggest purpose led by Sri Rajarshi Birla ji, in which we all have that passion and we believe in that, and that's where we go on ground and we build that thought process in the people to change themselves. Most of the time, sir, I have seen that we go, CSR does have funds, give the funds to these agencies, agency goes, does a baseline, aisa karenge, activities, 4 years, 3 years, good companies, take the project for 3 years, 4 years, then we are leaving. They are back to again worse than they were. So here the purpose is that a leader should envision that whatever I am doing should actually change the DNA of that entire thought process of the society, individual, community, whatever you are working at. So purpose is very, very important as a leader to see every penny that we are spending, the SROI has to be there.
SROI is social return on investment. कि अगर आप 1 रुपया खर्च कर रहे हैं तो how much money you get back. इससे प्रोसेस कभी करवाना हो तो हम लोग उससे कांटेक्ट कर लें. तो आज क्या है जो डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर है, फ्रेंकली टेलिंग व्हाट आई सी, ये डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर ना आज एक दोराहे पे खड़ा हुआ है. दोराहे भी चौराहा भी कह सकते हैं. भोपाल में वो लोगों के सड़कों के नाम ऐसे ही होते हैं. तो ये चौराहे पे जो हम लोग खड़े हैं, वी डोंट नो वेयर टू गो. आई सॉ फ्यू क्वेश्चंस इन फ्यू ऑफ दैट. पीपल से हाउ डू वी गेट CSR फंड्स. अरे भाई लगाए रहिए, बातों में खुल जाएंगे 2-4 मुलाकातों में. वेरी सिंपल. तो आंसर देना तो बहुत ईजी होता है, लेकिन गालिब साहब के साथ भी एक प्रॉब्लम थी. उनके साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या थी, वो कहते थे कि कुछ तो पढ़िए कि लोग कहते हैं गालिब गज़ल सराहना हुआ. तो आज जो हम इस दोराहे पे खड़े हुए हैं, वेयर डू वी गो एक्चुअली रियली एज ए ग्रुप. हमारे साथ बहुत सारे NGOs हैं, वी हैव कॉर्पोरेट्स, वी हैव अकेडमिशियंस. नो, यहाँ से हम लोग कहाँ जाएं?
I think what you said, I really feel very sad to hear this कि 2 sectors यहाँ पर है. CSR में जब भी हम बात करते हैं, there are 2 parties. One is NGO, one is CSR. Why? Why we can't call all of us development professionals? मतलब क्यों ये है कि एक CSR है, एक मतलब I feel very sad because I was on the other side of the table earlier. तो मुझे बहुत मतलब always that activism ना मेरा जग जाता है हमेशा मुझसे, है ना. तो see again, I will talk from the NGO perspective and it's completely my personal view. NGO needs to take the stand. I have been in CSR space and I have seen when we talk to NGOs, they don't stand up. कुछ भी कर देंगे, मैम आप बोलिए हम कर देंगे. Why? You are there because most of the NGOs started because of a passion. If you see the leaders of the NGOs, they started because of a passion. I know you are getting, funds are a challenge for you. That doesn't mean कि आप compromise करें, आप चीज़ों को करें सिर्फ funds के लिए. Make that stand. As you need good funders, we also need good partners. We also need good partners who do good work. Show your work. Let your work speak about it. Like Nikhil sir सुबह बोल रहे थे कि funds की कमी नहीं है if you do good work. And trust me, we reach out to organizations. We try to find out good organizations. We do that due diligence कि कौन सी organization credible है, कौन सी real work कर रही है, कौन सी impact लेके आ रही है. Invest into that rather than investing into just compromising on things. So I think first of all, as a CSR, I do that. I never call NGOs as a different party and me as a different party. We all are same party. And secondly, in my role as a CSR professional, I have done that. जब मैं corporate में थी, I have sensitized the corporate towards NGOs. I still remember in my first CSR job, मुझसे लोग पूछते आपको salary मिलती थी NGOs में. They think NGO and credibility of NGOs. They used to talk about credibility of NGOs. So understand that. Why is that happening? Like right now, many NGOs ask credibility for CSR, right? Similarly, why people have that question? So I think as an NGO, you really need to stand up for yourself. You really need to work. अगर काम अच्छा है, तो आपको funds की trust में नहीं कमी होगी. Problem कहाँ होती है? जहाँ पर मतलब सिंपल है, जहाँ पर नीचे तक का वो नहीं होता, where people don't know the roots, where people don't know, they talk superficial, they talk so, people like me who have that background, who understand development, in one meeting I will know whether that NGO is, it will do some impactful work or not. Because for me, like sir said, any penny which has been spent, it should make an impact. SROI is again a very, I would say very, मतलब बहुत ही उसको यूज़ इस तरह से किया जा सकता है कि इट्स वेरी इजी, बट SROI इज़ ऑल्सो नॉट वेरी इजी बिकॉज इन्वेस्टमेंट आप कर रहे हैं ह्यूमन बीइंग पे, हर बार उसके रिटर्न्स मिलना बहुत इजी नहीं है. द ओरिजिन ऑफ SROI वॉज कम्प्लीटली अ डिफरेंट. नाउ वी हैव ब्रॉट इट इन सोशल सेक्टर, बट आई थिंक दैट ऑल्सो द होल SORI नीड्स टू बी लुक्ड अपॉन इन टर्म्स ऑफ सोशल सेक्टर. जैसा पहला वाला पैनल बोला था कि इम्पैक्ट के लिए हमें फॉर्मेट्स बना देने चाहिए. वी कैन नॉट मेक फॉर्मेट्स फॉर इम्पैक्ट, वी कैन specific indicators. We cannot make a general format and we can say कि ये कर लो. हम इसको mechanized, इसके लिए set frameworks और set वो नहीं बना सकते, because see, understand, this is a very complex area where we are working. CSR is not an easy area. It's a very complex area. You're working with humans. You're not working with आप manufacture नहीं कर रहे हो या machines नहीं वो कर रहे हो. You're working with humans. आप उसको measure कैसे करोगे? आप उसको तो I think that is what as a corporate and as a partners we should look ourselves as a partner, and we should bring that on the table. And NGOs का अगर मुझसे मैं last एक second लूँगी. NGOs please focus on your work, bring that credibility. Funds की कोई कमी नहीं होगी, because we also need good partners, we also need credible partners, and we look for that. So that's from my side.
I think this is something which comes from heart. वो दिल और दिमाग की बात है, और आपने शुरू में बड़े दिल की बात की थी कुछ. दिल और दिमाग की आप कुछ बात कर रही थी, तो I think all of us want to know from you, ये दिल और दिमाग का क्या चक्कर है इसमें?
So अभी मेरा दिल और दिमाग फिर से जुड़ा है. You know, I am really inspired by what Lopa ma'am and Shilpa ji said, and thank you for asking the non-profit sector to grow a spine. And thanks a lot. You know, we just need more champions like you advocating for us. और आपने जो strategy की बात करी, I just wanted to tie it down together. सबसे important चीज़, what the most important thing in this dialogue is that the culture of the non-profit or the organization should drive strategy, right? The whole pressure of number, of growth, of scale, of making things grow differently, it's not possible. It's not possible in the non-profit sector, because it's a very complex microcosm of human nature and environmental interactions. Having said that, the culture of the foundation, of the organization, and the leadership, you know, the leadership should be of influence. You know, when we are walking our talk, if we are holding the cause very close to our heart and working at every level of the people who are serving our non-profits, and taking the purpose, the vision and mission right till the bottom. You know, sometimes they say when you're working very closely with the founding members, tab they had the spine and maybe not now. Where has that not percolated? I think somewhere the leadership has to introspect. Just summing it up, आजकल हमारे जो non-profits हैं, उसमें we are working with at least 3 generations of people at the same time. You know, there are people in my office who are grandparents, there are people my age, and there are people who were born when I was graduating. And that generation who was born when I was graduating are choosing non-profit as their first choice of work. And their lifestyle, their way of work, their approach towards their work is sometimes not taken very well by the senior members. Creating these kind of dialogues between the internal organization, keeping the purpose and the vision and mission close, having a close eye on the impact, and seeing that everyone is in this together. I think we're running short of time, sorry.
I think we had so many points, but सबसे मुश्किल काम जो है वो मेरे और रवि के लिए है. तो academics के लिए तो टाइम बचा नहीं अब. तो पहले तो आप हमारी क्लास में आइएगा, हम आपको बहुत entertain करेंगे. बस थोड़े से पैसे लेते हैं और कोई बात नहीं. रवि, just last 1 minute. One line only. Just one line. Then we have one word each.
To build the CSR leadership, I think most of the points are covered by the champions themselves. I would suggest, that to be more effective, a robust, cadre has to be developed. And all the resources of corporates can be used to initiate and fuel the movement, to make it a mass movement at all levels. Institutions, organizations, corporations, and individuals. It should not be a corporate alone. It should be from CSR, it should be ISR, where I stands for individual social responsibility and institution social responsibility. And the last point is, we must leverage on all the new age technologies, or so-called digital technologies, to ensure that we innovate new things to replace those which are polluting the environment, those who are consuming more environment, and provide a functional equivalent of the same using the new technologies. I think these are my last comments.
Now, just one word from each. When you talk about leadership, one word which you like to tell us. सिर्फ एक शब्द है, ज़्यादा नहीं बोल सकते.
सिर्फ 4.
है ना? Okay.
रवि जी के पीस की
रवि, ये
तरह.
4 बोलना.
Leadership in the non-profit sector right now: purpose, passion, priorities, and perseverance.
लोपा जी.
Simple, I think I will agree to Saloni with that. For us, it's also the stakeholder interest.
One word.
Leadership basically shape brand image internally as well as externally.
One word would be impact.
So I'd like to thank all the organizers. मुझे याद आया कि अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल मगर, अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल मगर, लोग मिलते गए, कारवां बनता गया. Thanks a lot.